Bust it.
Hello and thanks for staying with us. It's Political Platform, a program where we give you updates, reports and analysis on topical issues as they relate to our political, socio-economic life of the nation. My name is Amechi Anokwe. This morning, we shall be giving you reactions from the president's ongoing visit to the United Kingdom. The president has been busy since he got there. He has been meeting with, of course, apart from his friend, the Archbishop of Canterbury. He also met with his political ally, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, and members of the Buhari Diaspora Support Group, where he again heaped the blames of our economic woes on past leaders whom he accused of not saving for the rainy day. But the PDP is asking a lot of questions, wondering why the president appeared to be in hiding in London. He usually stays at the Abuja house in London during his last stay. But some national dailies made checks and they were able to report that the president is not staying there, and they are wondering why the president is not where he usually stays. But some will tell you the president can as well stay in the part of London where he finds himself. The PDP is accusing the president of using that trip, not coming out with the facts and truths about it, that he has gone on an official visit, why he has not met any government official yet. But you know the president will from 18th to 20th join other world leaders in being part of the Commonwealth Health of Government meeting. The All Progressives Congress, APC, has finally announced its National Convention Committee. No date yet for the convention, but Abubakar Badaru, governor of Jigawa State, is chairing that lengthy committee. What's happening to the Bring Back Our Girls group? They just marked the 4th year anniversary of the abduction of the Chibok school girls. Coming at the time, a journalist, Ahmed Sakida, revealed that a greater majority of the 112 girls in Boko Haram captivity are dead, with the government denying that. But the BBOG said they are suspending their daily sit-out because of continued harassment by the security agencies. My colleagues are here with me. Adeboye Bodri is right here in the studio this morning.
Yeah, I mean, two issues bother me this morning, and I think there are issues that I think the nation should address. The first is in Taraba State. I mean, I do not know, in view of the level of killings in that state, that the military will just withdraw its men from the field, and within a few hours after that, 5 people were again hacked down. I think it's worrisome. Another issue that bothered me this morning is also from Katsina State, where you recall last year that this nation recorded several deaths from meningitis. And I think we're supposed to be taking proactive actions in warding off some of these deaths. Reports from Katsina State indicate that in several communities, dozens of people are dying of cholera and meningitis. And I think it's a worrisome thing that I think we should. There is vaccination for meningitis, for God's sake. And I think these are things that we should not take lightly, knowing fully well the kind of weather we have, particularly beginning from December to this part of the year. We should try as much as possible to make sure that these deaths are curbed. The last issue is Babangida is at it again. You know his level of politics when he was military president. There were several presidential candidates. And what did he do that time? He threw his support in support of all of them. At the end of the day, they were all banned from seeking the election. And this include the late Musa Yar'Adua, former Minister of Finance, Adamu Shiroma, and several others. They were banned from, they were actually banned. And over the weekend, 2 groups visited him. And in his usual manner, IBB said he's in support of SDP, but he wishes very young now he will have joined its youth wing.
Vanguard.
Another group, northern leaders and stakeholders also visited him, and he threw his weight. So IBB's kind of politics is really, really, really very interesting.
Well, I believe he promised that he will publish his memoirs, the circumstances surrounding the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, and he's yet to come out as he's hosting these political groups and parties. We urge him and remind him to release those memoirs, publish them. Let's really get to know what happened, who played what role in the annulment of June 12 presidential election. Uju is also in the studio with us.
When you talk about IBB politics, very, very interesting politics. Adebayo Bodunri would recall that in 1999, during the return to democratic rule, in fact, he virtually sponsored all the candidates of all the political parties. He sponsored them, did everything. In fact, people said he paid their nomination fees, whatever. And, he's a man who plays in skats. No wonder some people named him after that popular footballer. Maradona. He knows how to dribble his way through the Nigerian political terrain. That makes him unique, a unique man. And then secondly, please, let me ask the nation not to forget Leah Sharibu. As we talk about the Chibok girls, let us remember that lone Dapchi schoolgirl who is still in Boko Haram captivity. We must not forget Leah Sharibu.
Promises are not in short supply, including one from the president himself. But the Senate President Bukola Saraki yesterday said over the weekend that Leah Sharibu must be rescued and brought back, just as with some others. But Shola Jaisimi, who is in the studio with us, Olufala, a chieftain, a stalwart of the SDP, was worked closely with former military president Ibrahim Babangida as the secretary. Was it during his regime that he worked as the secretary?
He's regarded as the apostle of SAP. He was Minister for Finance, and he was also the secretary to the government of the Federation at that time during the IBB presidency. But that party, the political party, the SDP, probably resurrected from the old SDP of the
one of the two IBB created, SDP and NRC. Maybe he still has taken a liking to that name, SDP.
Exactly. So basically what we see is a situation where the GAP Tutor General, as many call him, is probably just trying to play the role of a statesman, saying, look, I support you, and spreading his blessings all across all the political parties. But it's politics, it's political season. IBB is also one of those who have said the incumbent, President Muhammadu Buhari, hasn't done very well, and there needs to be a third force. So politics at work as we see it.
Okay, the former military president mentioned, said something about liking the nature and character of people in SDP, and will try to play up the position of Olufala, someone that worked with him in the past. It appears some of them are making some hits on the former military president. Mustafa Mohammed completes our number.
I do question the sincerity of politicians. This was a former military dictator who refused to allow democracy to grow. In fact, he annulled a valid election. What kind of endorsement are they looking from him? What kind of role model do they think he will be for the Nigerian Democrats? I actually question the sincerity of anybody who is going to openly begin to look for IBB's endorsement. I don't know if it's, maybe you can go and collect the money if you want to. And then secondly, the issue of
actually there are many. You can count the list number
many
politicians who have gone to meet with IBB.
Moshood Abiola would have been a wonderful president for this country. May his soul rest in peace. We knew even out of the presidency, out of his personal wealth, what he has done to Nigeria and Nigerians in so many sectors. Even the school I attended in the early 80s, he built a wall around the several hectares and put up a gate for our own security. That's just one I can tell you, not talking about the various athletes he has sponsored and various other things he has done. Then talking about the issue of security, Mr. Borden has spoken about. Garba Shehu was on AIT. I see a confused, spokesman of the president without a direction. I think the government needs to put its act in order so that they can have they can have one direction in trying to answer Nigerians about the national question on security. The killing continues in Zamfara, the killing in Taraba, the killing in Benue. They have exhausted all their explanations. They don't have an answer.
I don't think you're very fair to Garba Shehu. He has a job to do, and he's doing it to the best of his abilities. And we know his antecedents. He rose to the highest point of the journalism profession. There may be some shortcomings, but if you have a work and a responsibility, you have to carry it out. But talking about the visits or the pilgrimage to the hilltop mansion of General Ibrahim Babangida in Mina, many of them, Atiku Abubakar, PDP, name it, as the 2019 election gets nearer, you see more such pilgrimages. There are some people you cannot discount. The likes of the former military, the former head of state and former president Olusegun Obasanjo, T.Y. Danjuma. These are people you must get to your side if you want to succeed. Exactly
the point I'm trying to make, because whether you like it or not, these people have become strong power blocks in the Nigerian polity. If you ignore them, at your own disadvantage. At
your own peril.
Yeah, exactly.
According to Goodluck Jonathan.
For instance, in the Southwest now, I do not think that there's any serious politician who would not be in one way or the other affiliated with the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. So also in the North, even across board, because IBB has become a very, very strong power block across the different states, the 6 zones of the federation, just like an Atiku in a way. But I don't know, maybe you could say at a senior level that you must go and
Dobale, like we say it
to get their blessings before you can move far. It's either they stop you or their boys can stop you.
Maybe on another edition of this program, we'll take a look at why these men have continued to exert so much influence on our democracy, on our polity, and how citizens can also begin to flex their muscles and show their power. But it starts with your PVC, permanent voters card. Let's take your input. Let's share some of the mails we picked from our email platform, political platform @yahoo.com.
Thank you very much, Amici. Welcome to the mail segment, and I am Etenikan Akepo.
And I'm Amaka Okoro. Welcome.
We're getting started with the mail from OK Nwafo in Abuja, and he's asking a question. Now that we know who the killer headsmen are, what next? He goes further to say, from far away England came Nigerian president's declaration to Justin Welby and the world that the killer headsmen are Gaddafi trained and Gaddafi armed, and moved from the Sahel region into the different parts of West African sub-region. He concluded that solutions were in the offing. Good. It is an age-long adage that once you see a snake, you kill the snake, as there is no need to set up a committee on snakes before killing same. The happiest and most important thing is that our Fulani brothers are not involved ab initio. So all along, the Miati Allah group has been lying by claiming responsibility. The Defense Minister Dan Ali was misleading us by his position that the clash is as a result of blockage of grazing routes. Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris did not investigate anything by his postulation that the Benue attack is a communal clash. Commendable as the President's pledge of solution may seem, this killer group should be proscribed and the preliminary steps taken to declare it a terrorist group. In any case, they are not Nigerians. If our Nigerian brothers who did little or nothing were hastily proscribed and declared terrorists, strangers from Libya who did much, causing trauma and overpowering fright amongst us, should be immediately proscribed and declared a terrorist gang. God bless Nigeria.
And more reaction on the state of the nation. This one is coming from Ola Olukorede in Kaduna State. The mail reads, this weekend, I sat back to look at 3 leaders currently serving in Nigeria. A president who continued to give reasons for not performing. Another governor from the north who distribute grains to widows. Thirdly, another governor from the south who engaged thousands of widows in skilled employment and doing great works without borrowing a kobo and without blaming his predecessors for taking loans as to make the state not qualified to borrow again. Intellectual application is the difference. It's time to begin to expose to Nigerians those who are intellectually sound to rule us. God bless Nigeria.
And happenings from the Red Chambers, Oludipo in Lagos State says, Dear Political Platform crew, I follow with keen interest the happenings in the Senate Red Chamber last week when Senator Ovie Omoagege was suspended for 90 parliamentary days for holding contrary opinion on the much debated order of election. My worry is the suspension of the senator. I heard there is a subsisting law against suspending a lawmaker for more than 2 weeks. If this is true, then it's a pity on our so-called distinguished senators.
And this is the much we have for you today on today's mail segment. Keep sending your contributions to us. Send them through to us to politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Thank you so much, Utodi. The president is still in London and protests are greeting his arrival there. Last week it was an anti-Buhari protesters that stormed there, and over last weekend it was a ton of pro-Buhari protesters. I predicted it, that based on what we saw in Nigeria and Abuja not too long ago, it won't take long before we begin to hear of a protest in favor of the president, and it happened last weekend. Take a listen. Okay, let's just also share very quickly with you the anti-Buhari protest that took place. That was the first protest in that part of the country. Okay, Nigerians are very busy in London. A group, a Buhari diaspora support group, met with the president, and the president, as usual, heaped the blame on bad economic woes in the country to the inability of past leaders to really save for the rainy day. It's very interesting developments in London.
Yeah, very interesting, and it's good for us. It's politics. We have for and against. It's better than resorting to violence, and I think they're also exercising their freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and the freedom of the right to protest in whatever form they like. I don't think it's not an ugly side of our politics.
And I ordinarily would have expected the president, even as he met with the pro-Buhari protesters, to have also met with the other side. You never can tell, even from the protests against him. He can pick 1 or 2, 3 very useful things that he probably needs to work on to show up his popularity level. It's good to take both sides, even as a leader, so you know what to do to meet the yearnings and aspirations of your people.
The president is in the UK. He's been there for over a week now. We're told that he'll be meeting with British Prime Minister Theresa May today. Well, the impression we had before was that this visit was a private visit. Eventually, his aide said it was an official visit. But whatever the discussions are with Prime Minister Theresa May, I'm thinking that how Nigeria will fare better in a British-Nigeria relationship should be on the agenda. Getting visas to the UK has become so tough. Even if you have one and you're trying to renew, it becomes a little challenging for you as a traveler to the UK. And all the other issues around Nigeria, the favor, the progress, and the camaraderie that existed between Nigeria and Britain, we need to get those things back so that the Nigerian people can begin to feel the impact that its former colonial masters have had on the country, just like it happens between Francophone and Anglophone countries, between Francophone countries and France, the country that, ruled them,
colonized them.
Yeah.
If you have these two sides shouting, one beautiful thing about democracy is that you can come out and openly mention the person you're going to support. But Nigerians should not forget one thing. No matter how much you shout because you have a lot of energy in support of one person or against another, you should have your PVC. I still remember.
Unfortunately, those in diaspora can't vote because we are not doing a diaspora voting.
I'm actually we'll get there. Remember, before the last general election, there was a particular phrase I kept saying. If there is anybody who is in power and you feel he has not fulfilled those conditions or promises he has made to you, and you don't feel happy about him, you just go ahead and vote him out. There's no need for violence. There's no need for insult. What we need is a peaceful election. And of course, after every 4 years, there will be election. And Nigerians are becoming very conscious, more conscious than ever before, of their political rights. It's not just the presidency I know people are talking about. The National Assembly members, the State Assembly, the state governors. And don't forget that some of the ruling parties in some of the states have actually lost out. The candidates of the opposition party have also won. And in Nigeria, when the last general election was coming, people were like, no, incumbency factor in Africa. The incumbents have also lost. In Ghana, it has happened. In Liberia, it has happened. In Nigeria, it has happened. There's this newfound dynamism in our political culture in Africa.
Okay, let's take a look at the fourth year anniversary of the 112 Chibok school girls still in captivity. They bring back our girls group, said they have suspended their daily sit-out in Unity Fountain in Abuja here because they believe and they claim the police and security agencies are harassing them. And we have right away on the line with us the spokesperson of the group, Sesu Akume. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So why are you suspending your daily sit-outs?
Well, we've taken a temporary break from our sit-outs at Unity Fountain for today, tomorrow, and possibly Wednesday. We're coming back there on Wednesday or Thursday to have a press conference to address the media and the public on exactly what's going on and the revelations that have emerged at the weekend. On Friday, the police operatives of the Nigeria police came to the Unity Fountain and took away our chairs. Maybe they stole them, I don't know, but they took away our chairs to a location we don't know. They cordoned off the place, and there were maybe 100 of them armed to the teeth and said we could not access our usual meeting grounds.
Is the police commissioner in FCT now aware of a court judgment that said you have all legal rights to protest, and we have always recorded here that one of the few things democracy can guarantee you is freedom of expression and freedom to protest in the most legal way. Did you bring this to his attention?
Indeed, we have rights to freedoms of association and peaceful assembly. The Commissioner of Police, Sadiq Abubakar, and the IG of Police, Idris, is in clear violation of laws of Nigeria, the Constitution of Nigeria, and a subsisting court judgment. They all know that, but they violate it flagrantly and with impunity, and they don't care that they're violating laws. They know exactly what they're doing. It's not as if they're not aware. This is not the first time they've tried to stop us from carrying out our activities, our peaceful activities, and they were made aware. And the president also made that known to the president, so it's not as if nobody anybody's unaware of what's going on. It's a clear violation of the laws. It's paradoxical because the police is supposed to be law enforcement, and here they're violating the laws. And so, like yesterday when we were there were even more armed police people. They had cordoned off the place with crime scene tapes and were armed and there. So
maybe you may not be the only. You may not be the target. I also recall that the Free Zaki protesters are also using that same Unity Fountain with so many other pro-democracy groups.
Yes, it is their right to use the Unity Fountain to do that. The job of the police is to stay there and make sure that there's no breakdown of law and order, but not to stop people from meeting. And for this one in particular, they're very deliberate. Why did they steal our chairs? What did the chairs do? And so it is a clear showing that they don't want us to exercise our rights. These rights are inalienable. It's not something the police gives you and takes away. They don't have those powers.
Have the group explored any other options other than coming out to sit or demonstrate? Have you tried opening a communication channel with the Boko Haram, like the other rights group have done, like the Amnesty, even help in securing the release of some of the girls? Are there other channels?
No, our job is not to communicate with terrorists. Our job is very simple. We're in a demand and supply economy here. the government and supplies good governance. Our as a citizens movement demands of good governance. So our job is to get the government to do what it ought to do. If they're going to be negotiating with terrorists or whoever, whatever they choose to do, that's their own job. Our own job is to make sure that the government upholds its own side of the social contract. And that is what we've been doing for 4 years.
So what options are available to you now if the police don't want you to use the Unity Fountain? Apart from suspending your daily sit-outs, what do you plan to do next?
No, we're going to be addressing the public, the media, and the public in the next 2 days or so. So we'll just crave your indulgence to give us 1 or 2 days to sort it out. And we're coming back to Unity Fountain to do the address, by the way. It's not anywhere else. And we're going to be resuming our sit-outs.
So you defy the police cordon?
To not be seen to be playing into their arms, and so their arms, so we're playing to their arms, and then their exchange of there's fatalities and that, because it appears that they're bloodthirsty, and that's what they're looking forward to. And so we're going to be giving them time to assess their position very well and see what they're doing is wrong, and so we can resume and continue with our normal peaceful activities.
Okay,
but we're coming back there in the next
we'll have to thank you so much, Sesu Akume, for your interventions there. And tomorrow we'll have to reach out to the FCT police authorities. The FCT police spokesperson is our friend. We'll try to see if we can get their own side of the story on why the police would want to stop a lawful assembly. A court judgment in FCT here telling the police that they bring back our guest campaigners have a right to protest. And me personally, I'm always very concerned when rights, especially those that have to do with right of expression, are being abridged.
Amici, in this case, it is clearly spelled out in the Constitution. Even without the court judgment, it's a case that is very, very clear. The rights to freedom of association, the right to freedom of expression. And I really do not understand what the grounds could be against a group that is simply putting pressure on the authorities to recover the girls who have been missing. What if those girls were their daughters? Would they have preferred that the nation forget them?
Well, we'll pose these questions to the police, hopefully, when we'll bring them on this program. Thank you so much for being part of it today. We'll return on Tuesday. On behalf of my colleagues, my name is Amici Anapu. Have a wonderful week.